Thanks to our Rotom phone, we did indeed survive that fall off the cliff, although I may have needed to change my pants soon after. The Houndour were frightened by my drop-in, and I immediately went over to check on this Pokemon? If that's what you could even call it. Nothing like this had ever been seen before. And I had one thing that I thought could help, because it always helps me. A nice, delicious sandwich. And wouldn't you know it, it perked up in the same way that I always perked up whenever Mom made me a sandwich. And in a similar fashion, it gobbled it very quickly. And that seemed to be the trick. This Pokemon was now up, and it looked more ferocious than it did just laying down, thankfully, because I had a feeling I was going to need its help to get back up to Nemona. That sandwich seemed to have some different powers, though. I never seemed to transform whenever I ate one of my mom's sandwiches, but this Pokemon did. And wow, did that look really cool. Cooler than anything I had seen in the past. This thing looked powerful. This looked legendary, almost. And it seemed to want me to join it in this dark, scary cave. So of course I did. As any inquisitive child would, I began to follow this thing. It looked almost more machine than Pokemon. But regardless of how I felt, I knew I needed to get back. And luckily, I was not alone, for Nemona had actually found us. Albeit she was way up in a high place, we still needed to make our way to her, and it almost seemed like this Pokemon realized that. Because it seemed to sit there and wait for us to finish our conversation. And boy, was I gonna follow this thing. I mean, destroying giant boulders? Scaring off Houndour? Yes, I'm following it. Especially because that was a Houndoom that was sitting there watching us. And I knew for a fact I was not ready to even imagine taking on something like that. Nor was I ready to take on the pack of Houndour that seemed to find us. But you know who was ready to take on that pack of Houndour? My bodyguard here. Those things decided that a frontal assault was not going to work, so they called in Big Mama. The Houndoom that I saw watching us decided to confront us. And while Sprigatito stood there valiantly, it was scared. Rightfully so. And even though this Pokemon had a chance to make its own way to the exit, it must have sensed something in me. Enough something to stand in the face of danger and allow itself to be surrounded by the same Houndour, actually more, now that I remember. And rather than try to fight, it realized running away was the best option. And not just running away, but running away to Nemona. It's almost like this Pokemon knew something about us. After we made our way back up, and by we I mean my savior carried me up to Nemona, we were at the lighthouse. The lighthouse that this thing seemed to be drawn to. Even though it collapsed from a different form, it was still ready to go, and so was Nemona, giving us our first TM in Paldea, which was very thoughtful of her. Is this because I beat her already? I kind of think it was. She won't admit it to this day, but I do believe that's the reason why. Regardless, we made our way to the lighthouse, and we noticed there was somebody there. This lighthouse is not just a lighthouse, it is attached to something. And there was a boy wearing the Yuva Academy clothing. And he didn't seem too friendly. And he seemed to have a history with this Pokemon. Arvin. A name which would come to mean something in our journey. A name which would mean not just grumpy boy in an emo phase, but friend. Maridon. That is what the son of our region's professor called this Pokemon. Maridon. And this building that the lighthouse is attached to is his father's lab, as it turns out. And Arvin here seemed to think that he was going to be able to do something. He was feeling some sort of way, and I think this Maridon had something to do with his frustration, because he challenged me to a battle. And I was hoping to make him realize how big of a mistake that was. Now, he thought he was doing something with this Nacli, for even though it was not going to do well, it was lowering my stats. Almost like he knew what he was doing. And he did. Because even though that Nacli fell very, very easily, and our party got a little boost from this, his next Pokemon was going to give me a little bit of a problem. Capsicid. Another Pokemon I had never seen before. And I couldn't tell what this thing actually was. Is it a bird? Is it a plant? Whatever it was, it gave Biscuit Maker a rough time. But it did not give Fletchling any problems at all. And with that, tough guy, Arvin, was dropped. Nemona cheering me on, Arvin not so much. And we received a nice little gift from Arvin for smacking him around. Maridon's Pokeball. It is crazy to think that a Pokemon like this is actually in a ball at one point. This almost seemed like a Pokemon that would not want to be in a ball and roam free. But regardless, it came with me. But we were here for one reason. We were here to climb the lighthouse, to see the view, and what a view it was. I thought the view at Poco Path was incredible, but this was something else. While we could see Mesagoza, the home of Yuva Academy, we could also see just about everything else in this part of Paldea. This looked incredible. Way more impressive than anything I had ever seen in any other region. The beauty of the nature, the mountains in the distance, the Pokemon just waiting to be captured. And Nimona realized that too, because great minds think alike. And with this welcome, we decided we're not going to head directly to the school. We're going to instead head to Los Platos. First little stop on our journey, because I was going to get my steps in trying to get to the school. But I was content to make a few stops. We battled a child who sent out a spider against our cat. We defeated said child. We picked up more items caked in dirt off of the ground. Pokeball that was not filled with a Pokeball. We caught ourselves a new friend. Helping to round out the typing of the team, we caught ourselves the water type Psyduck. We found a weird little bridge troll named Gimmighoul, which gave us a coin. We made another friend, a Wooper, but not the Wooper that I had seen before. And we made yet another friend, the lovely Ralts. So our team was shaping up to be a good one, and we finally made our way to Los Platos. And Nimona was nice enough to wait for us there to introduce us to the arguably most important thing that we're going to need on our journey, the Pokemon Center. Every trainer knows the Pokemon Center because a lot of trainers visit a lot of Pokemon Centers a lot of times. But these Pokemon Centers weren't the normal ones that I had seen in images of other regions. These are out in the world, not in a building. These have Pokemarts with them, and these TM machines that actually make TMs, a great way to get them and get them anywhere in the region. You just need to use material from Pokemon, which I found to be very weird, but that's beside the point. So after we rested, we knew we had a long journey ahead, and a long journey it would be, and a journey that I will never forget.